Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back. Today on Milanese Math, we're going to be talking about how to multiply and divide decimals. And as always, if you want to follow along with this worksheet, you can find it at the first link in the description below. Okay, so I'm also going to try to link the video on how to multiply and divide whole numbers. I'm going to assume you've watched that first because this process is very similar. So you might want to rewind, go watch that one first, and then check this one out because some of the things I'm going to gloss over here, assuming you've watched that before. So the way we would multiply these terms with decimals is very similar to the way we would multiply whole numbers. We would take the 6.2 and the 4.5 and just stack them on top of each other and multiply. So I would take 5 times 2, which is 10, carry the 1. 5 times 6 is 30, plus the 1 is 31, so it would look like that. When I go over to the 4 and start multiplying it, don't forget you got to put a placeholder here with a 0. And then just multiply. 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 times 6 is 24. Okay? Now, how do we get our final answer? Well, we add straight down. 0 plus 0 is 0, 1 plus 8 is 9, 3 plus 4 is 7, and 2. So we're good, except that this problem had decimals. And so the question is, well, how many decimals should the final answer have? There's more than one way to describe it. Here's how I say, check out the first term, 6.2. It had 1 decimal place. And the second term also had 1 decimal place. So that means the final answer is going to have a total of 2 decimal places. 1 plus 1 is 2. So I'll just scoot over and put my decimal point so that my final answer has 2 decimal places because 1 from each one of the individual terms. So a final answer of 27.90. Let's do another example kind of similar to that. Let's do 3.82 times 7.9, okay? And I'm just going to kind of list them like this, because I'm kind of ignoring the decimals. In other words, just do the multiplication the way you would with whole numbers, and then count up the total number of decimal points in the terms, and that's how many your final answer will have. So let's just run through this example kind of quickly. 9 times 2 is 18, carry the 1. 9 times 8 is 72, plus 1 is 73, carry the 7. And 9 times 3 is 27, plus 7 is 34. Okay, now let's put a placeholder and go through with the 7. 7 times 2 is 14. I'll carry that 1. 7 times 8 is 56, plus 1 is 57. I'm going to carry the 5. And 7 times 3 is 21, plus 5 is 26. Okay, to get a final answer, we'll add straight down. 8 plus 0 is 8. 3 plus 4 is 7. 4 plus 7 is 11, carry the 1. 1 plus 3 plus 6 is 10, carry the 1, and we've got a 3. Okay, now all of that was exactly how you do with whole numbers. The only thing that's unique or new for the doing this with decimals is you got to go up to the original terms and count how many decimal places you have. Look at the original numbers, 3.82, there's 1, 2, and here's a third one. So altogether, I know that there needs to be 3 decimal places in my final answer. So I would put the decimal point right there so that I have the 178. That's 3 positions to the right of the decimal. Okay, and that's all there is to it. The rest of this is just exactly the same. I'm going to do a couple more examples here just to give you the hang of this. So 0.291 times 0.52. And again, I'm pretending like these are whole numbers and ignoring the decimals for right now. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 9 is 18. Carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Okay? As I scoot over to multiply the 5, don't forget, put a placeholder in. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 9 is 45. Carry the 4. And then 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14. Okay? So to get the final answer, add those up and we should be good. 2 plus 0 is 2. 8 plus 5 is 13, carry the 1. 1 plus 5 is 11, carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 5, and 1. Okay, so we're done, except that we need to figure out where to put the decimal place. And if you look up at the top here, this original problem had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal places. So I would need to put the decimal point all the way over here on the end. To give it all 5 decimal places. And if it makes you feel better, you could put 0.15132. Okay. All right, so we're almost there. Let's do number 4. And again, this process is exactly the same. 9.43, 2.44. Okay, here we go. 4 times 3 is 12, carry the 1. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 is 17, carry the 1. 4 times 9 is 36, plus 1 is, whoops, what happened there? Sorry, my pen went crazy. Okay, 4 times 9 is 36, plus 1 is 37. So here we go. Okay, now we're going to scoot over to the second 4. Put a placeholder here. 4 times 3 is 12. And since I've actually already done this, I'm just going to copy those numbers down because I know it'll work out the same way because it's the same number. I'm multiplying a 4 through again. Now when we go over to the 2 and the 2.44, we got to put 2 placeholders. And now let's multiply through by 2. Here we go. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. And 2 times 9 is 18. Okay, let's add all of these up and we should get our final answer. 2 plus 0 is 2. 7 plus 2 plus 0 is 9. 7 plus 7 plus 6 is 20. Carry the 2. 2 and 3 is 5. Plus 7 is 12. Plus 18 is 20. Carry the 2. 2 plus 3 plus 8 is 13. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Whew. Okay, that was a big one here. So now all you got to do is go back up to the original terms and count how many decimal places we had. So we had 2 from this first term, another 2. That's 4 altogether. So I'm going to bump all the way right there and call it 23.0092. So one more time. The process is multiply them out like you would if they were whole numbers, and then just go back to the original terms, count up the number of decimals, and that's where your final answer should be. So I'm going to have you pause the video here, go ahead and try numbers 5 through 8, and then we'll pick up below that. Assuming you've had a chance to do that, let's take a look at numbers 9 through 12. So this is division. And once again, you're going to treat this the same way you would with dividing whole numbers. There's one trick at the end to make sure that you get the decimal point in the right spot. So just pretend that the decimals don't exist. Pretend it's 268 divided by 4. Okay? So again, if you need a refresher on that, go back and watch the other video because I'm going to go kind of fast through this just so you can see what the differences are. So how many times would 4 go into 2? It wouldn't, but it would go into 26. It'll go in 6 times. So 4 times 6 is 24. Then I subtract. And then I carry down the 8, make it 28. And then I'll say how many times would 4 go into 28? That would be a 7. And so 4 times 7 is 28, subtract, and I have 0 remainder. So this is correct, but my final answer isn't 67. And the way we know how to put the decimal point or where it should go, again, more than one way to describe it, here's what I do. Look at the original thing that we were dividing, the 0.4. How many decimal places would I need to move that to turn it into a whole number? So instead of 0.4, I would want to move it one place to turn it into a whole number, in this case 4. So to compensate for that, I'm going to do the same thing with the 2.68. I'm going to move him one place, and that shows me where I need to put the decimal. It's in between the 6 and the 7. So once you've moved it, then you can kind of go directly above it, and you'll see where you need to put your decimal place. So the final answer should be 6.7. Again, I'm going to run through 3 more of these so you kind of get the hang of it. Okay, again, start number 10 by ignoring the decimal place. How many times will 9 go into 6? It won't, but it will go into 61 6 times. So 6 times 9 is 54. Then we'll do our subtraction. That's going to be a 7. Let's drop down our 2. How many times will 9 go into 72? Well, that would be an 8. 8 times 9 is 72. And looky there, 0 remainder. Okay. Last thing we got to do is figure out where to put the decimal, because all of that is how you would divide whole numbers. But to account for that decimal, again, I'm going to have to move this over one place to get him to be a whole number. Well, if I moved this over one place, then it'll help me see that the decimal point needs to go in between the 6 and the 8 because it's directly above it. So 6.8. Okay, let's try another one. This one moves a little bit differently, so this will hopefully give you a kind of a compare and contrast here. How many times would 25 go into 5? It wouldn't, but it would go into 50 2 times. So 2 times 25 is 50. And when I subtract, that's going to be a 0. And so in this case, I'm not going to just bring down the 8 because I need more than that. So I'm actually going to bring down the 7 as well. So how many times will 25 go into 87? Well, I'll put a 0 here as my placeholder, and then 25 goes into 87 3 times. So we've got a 3. 3 times 25 is 75. When I subtract, I've got 12, and I'll bring down the 5. How many times will 25 go into 125? And the answer is 5. So 5 times 25 is 125. You do your subtraction, you have 0 remainder. Now, check this out. Again, that was all the same way you would do it with whole numbers, but this one has to move 2 decimal places. So if I move this guy 2 decimal places, it'll help me see that I'm in between the 0 and the 3, the 20.35, because I just let that decimal point go straight up from in between the 8 and the 7. If I look straight above it, it would be in between the 0 and the 3. That's why it's important to make sure that your numbers are stacked correctly, that you're kind of neat with your work. One more, and then I think we've got it. So how many times would 5 go into 8? It would go in 1 time. So 1 times 5 is 5. We'll do our subtraction. We've got a 3, bring down a 4. How many times would 5 go into 34? That would be a 6. And let's see, 6 times 5 is 30. Let's do your subtraction. You've got a 4. Now, at this point, you got to, since 5 doesn't go into 4, you assume that there's a 0 there and bring him down. Okay, you can keep doing that as much as you need to. 5 will go into 40 8 times, okay? So 8 times 5 is 40, and now finally we've got it worked out to where there's 0 remainder. So how do we figure out where the decimal point goes? Well, if I move it, I only have to move it 1 place. So I'm going to move this 1 place and then go straight up. So in between the 6 and the 8. So the final answer there would be 16.8. So again, there's not necessarily a whole lot that's new about this. It's just a matter of how to account for the decimal once you're done, whether that's multiplication or division. So hopefully this video was helpful, and if it was, please consider subscribing to the channel. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.